Oh, you know what? We're gonna power through it. And Dom, we're gonna start with the hits. Let's talk about the Dinner Debonair. Is that what it was called? The
Yeah, the
steak dinner.
Dinner Debonair, I believe. Yes.
Yeah. So Dominic, I know that it got over huge with you. So please, tell us your thoughts on Le Dinner Debonair and all of the very unexpected things that happened.
I know. So I, at first, I was like, they were sitting down, and I was like, it looks like they're on that Zach Galifianakis Between Two Ferns.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know where this is going. And like, I liked that they were butchering the waitress's name like really bad.
Yeah.
And they were going back to that, and then they're trying to one up each other. But I'm like, where is this going? What is gonna happen? And like, then they start breaking into song. And me and you, we grew up like with Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, and Sammy Davis Jr. in our house, all
And
that stuff.
and, and musical theater.
And musical theater nonetheless. So it took me a little bit. I was like, this really sounds like one of the Rat Pack songs. I was like, I don't know. I can't. Is it Sam's song? What is this one happening? And it finally started dawning on me. I was like, I know this one. I was like, I think it's Frank and Sammy together. But so MJF, wow, can he sing? And but I just liked it. Me each week we're always talking about like we want to see like some realism. We want to see like, back and forth, all this stuff happening. And, comedy is, I think, has been over the course of time, these weeks, has been a pretty big flaw in AEW's, not only their production and presentation, but their execution of it. Like some of the comedy does stick and is good in little moments, and like, but it's mostly the wrestler doing it. When they intentionally try to do comedy with AEW, it hasn't really lined up in a lot of things, But when you have the stars like Jericho, if he gives a quip, or MJF if he gives a quip, or Tony Schiavone's in something, then it's funny. But like
Right. If
we
Lance
always
Archer tears the shirt off his own manager.
yeah, we don't want any of that. But but wait, now you're getting me thinking about the whole bathroom segment again. Where oh my hands,
It's too hot, Lance.
it's too hot, like. But and Miro, obviously that's trash. But this, as ridiculous as it was, and as like out of place as it was, I think it really, really worked because it was funny and it was well executed. And a big part of me is like, when comedy is done in wrestling, I don't think it should not hurt the persona or the wrestler. It should not hurt the star. It should not be detrimental to the star. And it also has to be funny. I think both of those happened. Like it didn't hurt either Jericho or it didn't hurt MJF, because I still can argue that either guy can turn it up when they need to. When they got to make it intense or when they got to make it serious, they can do that. Jericho's done that plenty of times before, plenty of times. And MJF, if you have not seen his work in MLW, he's done that before, where he's amped up the intensity and took it to a different level of that. Okay, yeah, it's jokey, funny MJF, but he can turn it on to this level where he wants to get violent. Like he had a match with Mance Warner and brought the intensity to it. Like cut a mean ass promo that's like nothing like what we saw. But dude, I thought this really worked, and I thought it's not detrimental to the product. I think, and you're getting mixed reviews. You're hearing positives and negatives about it, like from a whole slew of people, So I really liked it, Marcus. Let's get your thoughts on it, and maybe if I have anything else to say, I'll let you know. But I loved it. I really liked it.
I mean, chime in by all means. First of all, I think it was Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. I know for sure I heard a version where it was Dean and Sammy on CD, but I don't know. I'm sure he's done it with Sammy.
I looked it up on YouTube. There's a YouTube of Frank and Sammy doing it. Audio.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess Sammy's is multiple people's shadow. But in any case, I don't know how I felt about it. So like, as far as entertainment value, like, yep, very entertaining segment on TV, like compelling. You can see why, like, if somebody was flipping through the channels and that was on their TV, they'd be like, what in the hell is this? And they'd like stop and watch it. So like entertaining, you cannot take that away from it. Yeah, MJF has got a good voice. I thought Jericho was like struggling to find his key for a little bit, and then he found it, which I thought was interesting because I'm like Jericho's the one who's like performing musical numbers on stage all the time. So like I thought that was kind of amusing. But yeah, I mean,
different style, but
yeah, obviously this is not exactly in his wheelhouse. But I thought they did fine. They good harmonies and whatnot. But we're not analyzing the musical part of this. So yes, entertainment value, all of it was there. As far as like wrestling is concerned, and like building an angle, if that's what they're doing, like MJF has to join the inner circle now because they're like chumming around. And just like stupid choreographed stuff. So he has to join the inner circle as far as I'm concerned. Because like I'm big on kayfabe, Dom, as you know. Like I like the idea that like, could you imagine watching like an action movie and then all of a sudden like Arnold Schwarzenegger just like turns to the camera and he's just like hamming it up, like breaking the fourth wall, being silly.
It's a different in this, like, wrestling's different. It's a totally different animal from all that stuff. Like, obviously you want the storytelling to not get flawed or interrupted or anything like that. But again, like to this point, I don't think it really did. It was just like it was a moment that I think, yeah, like if MJF joins the inner circle, I think this makes just plenty of sense, or
that's
something.
The only way.
Yeah, that's the only way. But I think, yeah, I don't think they're going to miss a beat with any of this. Like, it doesn't cause any hiccups or speed bumps, in regards to that. Because, I mean, I don't know. It's worked just totally fine with me. But
well, I like kayfabe, and I don't like people winking at me. Like I just want it to be what it is. I want the storyline. I want to see how it plays out. I want to like root for somebody and maybe see him lose, or like root against somebody and see him lose. Like it's just, I like I'm a traditionalist in that sense. That being said,
but did they wink at you? Because I don't think they did. If you like go back and read the lyrics and stuff, they're trashing all the baby faces throughout that whole thing. Like,
no, they're winking at me by doing the song and dance dumb. Like where it's just like and they're clearly choreographed and they're like leaning up against each other. Like that's winking at everybody.
I get that. But I mean, I don't know. I still can kind of buy into that in a lot of ways, where it's just like, oh, all right, they went from this, but it's still a moment where two guys that have established themselves in a certain persona and how they handle themselves, like Jericho throughout his 30 years, and MJF, this small sample that we've gotten over the course of the year, you can buy into them kind of doing something like this, I think.
Yeah. Well, man, I'm not saying I hated it because I didn't. Like I said, it was very entertaining. You're right. Wrestling is such a different form of entertainment than any other out there that it's like, it's hard to pinpoint exactly what it is. Like I look at it, as I said, almost like an action movie. And like, I would be pissed off if I was in the middle of like a very intense scene and Arnold Schwarzenegger just turns and he's just like, or just like winks at you. It'd be like, fuck you, Arnold, and fuck this movie.
Fucked with me, man.
But thanks for reminding me I'm in a movie theater. I just wanted to be in this moment,
Are you enjoying the popcorn?
Right. So I don't know. It is a different animal, very entertaining. I'm no denying it. So I don't know. I'm very much on the fence. I think that this is just what wrestling is nowadays. And I've got to get used to it. I think everybody else does too. I mean, is it any worse than Buff Bagwell's mom on a pole? Probably not.
Right. So, it's like, how much of the sanctity of the business are you really hurting with a lot of this stuff? You go back even to the 80s WWF, they all did a fucking musical number. Like Vince McMahon's like, stand back and all that bullshit.
Yes.
And then we also had during Raw, like you go back, I got into an argument with one of our buddies over text messages about this angle because he hated it. And but you go back and you look at all the different angles that happened in the Attitude Era. So you have like Kurt Angle bring out a milk truck and hose people down with fucking milk, okay? And then you have.
It was funny though, but it wasn't winking at the crowd.
It wasn't winking at the crowd. But then you also had The Rock and Austin singing Margaritaville to close out a show. Right. You had what else was there? That The Rock, This Is Your Life. You had all that stuff. All these
I believe Triple H had sex with a corpse once.
Yes, correct. Not well executed.
Mae Young gave birth to a hand. I mean, we could go on
Yes.
for a while.
Oh, so many memorable moments that did not soil the sanctity of professional wrestling.
Right.
It's just like, this is nothing. This was well executed. It was funny. I mean, from a personal standpoint of me liking D Martin, the Rat Pack, and all that stuff, it was an extra level of added awesomeness to it. So, I mean, and plus it's just 2 stars that you're going to see develop over time. If you go back, we go 5 years ahead of this. MJF's a top star, established star, and like world titles, all whatever, you know. You go back and look at this, it's going to be a memorable moment. That's not, people are going to be like, oh, well, that was a fuck up on their part. Like, that's not going to happen.
No, I mean, of course not. It's not. You're right. It didn't hurt anybody's career or anything. It's just like I said, I'm just kind of stuck in the whole like I want to forget that the real world is out there for a couple hours and just watch pro wrestling and see like this soap opera unfold. And sometimes when they wink at you, you're just like, oh yeah, I got to go to work tomorrow. Like this is real life. You know what I mean? So like it does take you out of it. So I don't know. I'm not saying I hated it. I didn't. I don't know how I feel about it yet, Dominic. And like I said, I think this is what pro wrestling is now. With like ridiculous high spots that would never ever take place, with silly segments occasionally, and then some great action sprinkled in there. Which, by the way, we saw in this episode of Dynamite.
Absolutely, we did. But we also saw some of those silly high spots, and some of them that were like, I think, took me out of it. And unintentionally, they took me out of it.
There was also a very scary moment in the main event, which I'm not sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
we'll cover that.
We'll get there.
There was one more point I wanted to make about this, though, too. Shoot. Can't remember. Oh, this is it. As much as I loved it, and as much as I think it's an awesome moment and something that I'll go back and watch again over time, too, don't do this again. They can't do it again. You don't want another musical number. If you're going to do one, you can act like you're going to do one, but something's got to stop it from happening. Like, you can't.
Well, that would be hilarious if like once MJF joined the Inner Circle, they're like, and a 1, 2, 3, and they'll start, and then like some baby faces hit the ring or something like that. Would be entertaining.
The record, so to speak, scratches, and that doesn't happen.
But unfortunately, Dom, I think you make a really good point, because if you look at, like, for example, the Undertaker AJ Styles cinematic match at WrestleMania, it was a big success. People loved it. It got really great reviews. So they're like, well, we have to do more of this because it worked really well. And it was stupid to do anymore. I think that that is a one-time, never do it again thing. Or if you do it again, do it in like 10 years or wait for forever before you try it again.
A very, very, very appropriate moment that you can do that, where you maybe have an established star that has done comedic moments, but I mean, you need a guy like Jericho in that mix, and you would need somebody that's as charismatic and talented as MJF to do it. I don't think you can really replicate that again, and it shouldn't be replicated with these two again, because this was the moment. You don't want to do it again.
Did you ever watch American Horror Story?
Oh yeah, it's an awful show.
I remember digging it during certain periods, but then all of a sudden it felt like in every season there was a big musical number in the middle of it, and like all these people are musical theater people, so you know that they were just like pitching it to the writers, like, hey, I really want to sing, and this person's great.
Well, how about we incorporate a little bit of cats in this? Is that okay? Can we do that?
And that's my concern now with this, is they're like, hey, that was great. We should do one of those live. That was a tape segment. What if we did this live? And like, oh, hey, what if we brought dancers out? And then like, oh, it would be fun to see this person in that position. And then then all of a sudden it's literally becoming musical theater right before our eyes. And I don't want that to happen. So I hope
did you ever see the South Park wrestling where they go to WWE?
No.
And they go like, it turns into like all like Shakespearean soliloquies. Like, it's like, you know, they'll start, the spotlight will go on a wrestler, and they'll just be constantly like cutting a promo that's just like a soliloquy, like an artistic, and everybody's like sitting there in awe and like everything like that. You don't want that.
I think they just made a really compelling character for WWE. Could you imagine somebody who comes out and is just like Shakespearean in like a single
Aiden English? Get Aiden English to come back.
Oh, he'd be great in that role.
Yeah.
In any case, we digress, Dominic.
Yes.
I don't know how I feel. I'm nervous about where it's going to go.
Did you watch it again? Did you go back and watch it again, or?
I watched it once.
Okay,
That's it.
go back and watch it again when you get the chance. I mean, because I did. The next morning I went back and I watched it again. I was like, I just want to see if it still holds up for me. Totally held up for me. Totally everything. I don't know if it'll change your thought process and maybe make you more cemented in it. But maybe you're just waiting to see how they follow up too. That could be it too.
Yeah, well, you hit the nail on the head, Dominic. Maybe good to see once. I don't want to see it again.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it plays out.